Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Wayne Baker and I'm one of the staff therapists at Affair Recovery. And today we're going to talk about Fantasyland with regard to affairs and infidelity and sexual addiction. But first I want to ask you if you remember the movie Wizard of Oz. I'm sure most of you do. What I remember most about that movie is I'm 5 or 6 years old and I was loving that movie, and then all of a sudden those dang flying monkeys came out and scared the bejesus out of me. And I remember my mom chuckling while she was trying to talk me back out from behind the couch to come finish watching the movie. I just remember her laughing and still at the same time trying to comfort me. Those monkeys were scary. You probably also remember the line that Dorothy said to Toto, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." And when it comes to infidelity, regardless of what type of affair or sexual addiction, I think this statement couldn't be more true. Dorothy goes from this lonely, black and white, boring, dusty, and dog-hating world to a more colorful, exciting one that's full of song and interesting characters. She meets a new group of quirky friends, all with some baggage of their own. A scarecrow that lacked brains, and a tin man that didn't have a heart, and a lion with no courage. And this motley crew commits to assisting Dorothy and her dog in search of the Wizard of Oz. And oddly enough, even with flying monkeys and witches and deception, it left Dorothy pining away for the very thing that she was trying to get away from to begin with. She just wanted to be home again, where she felt safe and cared for. Do you begin to see some of the parallels regarding those trapped in addictions and affairs? How often do the indiscretions begin with feelings of mediocrity or the desire to feel alive or passionate or understood or seen or known, and seeking freedom from the constraints of a life we no longer want, pursuing happiness that we believe that we deserve or are entitled to? And like Dorothy, the dissatisfaction prompting the search for a more exciting life that triggers an F5 tornado, devastating everything in its path, and then the unfaithful spouse is catapulted into a strange new fantasy land left to wrestle with what to do. The only thing is now they have to operate with the limitations of Dorothy's team. They have little or no brain, heart, or courage. What do you do when someone has lost his or her brain? I hear this every week, sometimes daily, is like, what were you thinking? Were you using the brain that God gave you when you started this affair? If you've ever observed someone in an affair, as I have hundreds, maybe thousands of times by now, and remember, I was one that once there too, it certainly seems they've lost their mind. I've seen men and women from all walks of life transformed into clumsy, defensive, incompetent individuals who seem incapable of making a rational decision. They become willing to jeopardize their career, their family, and their future for this momentary pleasure. I have a couple right now who has spent all their retirement and nowhere else to go. That's pretty devastating, right? Everyone else can see that they have no brain, that their reasoning, their common sense are gone, but they refuse to hear the voice of reason, any differing opinion about their actions or their mindset or their choices. The loss of heart is also apparent. There's this illusion that if one is in love, they are finally in touch with their heart. But with infidelity and all the secrets that come with it, they've actually just lost what little heart they had. The selfish pursuits of personal gratification have nothing to do with the heart. Rather, they are based on more self-centeredness. And like the Tin Man, the person involved in the affair lacks the ability to truly love. People with heart are actually able to feel what impact their actions have had on those whom they are connected to. They care about the pain that they're inflicting upon those that they love. And love compels them to act in the best interest of another person. The total lack of love for those injured by their betrayal is one of the most astounding aspects of the affair. It's revealed by their responses to the collateral damage they've created through their own choices. The path out of this darkness definitely requires that they acquire a heart, not only to grieve for those that they've wounded, but also for themselves as they learn how to truly love. And finally, courage isn't a term used to describe those indulging in an affair. In fact, the act of betrayal highlights the lack of courage. And instead of exercising the courage necessary to admit what they've done and take responsibility for their choices, they hide behind a veil of secrecy, often blaming the victim or others for their choices. Rather than having the courage to confront the deficits in their marriage and their own behavior while honoring their commitment even in hard times, especially in hard times, they avoid difficulties of change. And change is hard. They are afraid to face the consequences of their own actions and fear releasing control because things might not turn out the way they want them to. And ironically, it's this lack of courage that keeps them hopelessly trapped in shame and the life that they believe they need to escape. The only way to end the chaos is to let go. Unfortunately, because of the lack of courage to let go and see what might happen, to see what is possible, they remain immobilized and unable to face life's realities and the consequences of their choices. Facing their reality and the mistakes that they've made would create immediate change. It requires courage to actually take personal responsibility for their life and for their actions. Frequently, those lacking the courage to take responsibility will hide behind the moral justifications that we talked about a few weeks ago and rationalization that they don't want to hurt their mate, claiming they are acting in their spouse's best interest by keeping quiet. In reality, though, they're controlling their mate by robbing them of the information necessary to make an informed decision and to address the issues in the marriage. And additionally, by controlling the flow of information, then the unfaithful is really never going to be totally sure that they are fully loved because they have this little question in the back of their mind, if they only knew they wouldn't love me. And it's best just to risk it. It takes so much courage to be authentic in marriage and in life for that matter. But like the Lion of Oz, courage is the trait that is sadly missing, or hopefully just hidden for a while, in those who are betraying their spouse. Interestingly, this trip to Fantasyland of an affair often culminates in a longing for home. And like Dorothy, betrayers often realize that there is no place like home. But how do they get there? It would be nice if they could just simply click their ruby red heels together. I have this image of Samuel once upon a time wishing he had a pair of those ruby red slippers to click together so he could get home. But unfortunately, infidelity creates a bigger mess than the physical tornado and requires much more elaborate journey to get home. The journey back is difficult and can seem to go in circles, but the destination is more exciting and ultimately much more rewarding than that fantasy land that they're leaving behind. It does take time and effort, but it is absolutely our best hope for growth and happiness and fulfillment. So come back to reality and rediscover your brain, your heart, and courage, and you'll find that there is truly no place like home. And if you believe that there's no way back, I can tell you from my own personal experience that you are believing a lie. I've been doing this for 15 years and have known hundreds, possibly even thousands of couples who have found the incredible healing in their marriage. It does, however, require courage to take the first step. If you're the unfaithful spouse, there are several options for you. First is I'd like to invite you to sign up today for our Hope for Healing course, where you'll find guidance and encouragement on your journey. Or see a relationship coach or a psychotherapist who has training in infidelity recovery. No matter what route you choose, at least do something. Don't be passive in this. Start using your brain to see if just maybe you don't know everything. There's no shame in asking for help. And start using your heart to feel for those who you hurt and allow yourself to experience compassion for them as well as for yourself ultimately. And finally, find the courage within you to take the first step, and then the next one, and then the next one step at a time, and let go to see what could happen, to see what is possible for yourself and for your relationship. Thanks so much for joining me again this week, especially through our trip in Fantasyland. Know that we here at Affair Recovery are here to support you and help you every step along the way. I'll be back again next week, so please come join me. Thanks so much.